The other thing we did, I'll press it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll call and see back up.
Yeah, no, well,
Good evening, everyone.
or we can just start.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can now. Volume was turned down.
Excellent. No, it's okay. Thank you. Today is July 25th, 2022. We do not have a work session scheduled, but as always, I like to keep it on the agenda in case anybody has anything they'd like to bring up or discuss or ideas or things they'd like to see. Before we start, Sally, if you call the roll.
Okay, Mayor Driver,
Here.
Ms. Hand. Here. Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Long,
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here.
Ms. Rossetti,
Here.
Ms. Tilly. Here.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I am remote this evening. I have had possible COVID exposure, so I am not feeling super great. So I want to make sure that you guys are protected. And most importantly, that Sally's protected on her last week of work as a borough clerk. In any case, this meeting is being called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of July 25th, 2022 was included in a list of meetings notice sent to the Huntington County Democrat and Courier News on January 5th, 2022, posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on that date, and has remained continuously posted as required. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. That said, I have nothing really to discuss during the work session, but I don't know if anyone else does.
I do have one small question I want to ask in the session.
Go ahead.
Oh, looks like over at the Flemington Museum, we need a roofer for the gazebo over there. We have the wood and we have the shingles. But we need somebody to do the actual work. So if anybody knows anybody, please let me know.
Yeah, so that has to go out and get quotes. Mike Happy can work with you on that.
Okay.
So I reach out to him and get that and get the quotes in, and then we can go from there.
Malik, do you have his contact number?
I do. Yes.
I'll text him and let him know that you'll be contacting him.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jess, I think you have a couple things you're doing.
I do, yes. So the Habitat for Humanity is helping with the fence for the community garden. So we are looking to do that at August 25th and August 24th and August 25th. I would like to have a handicap accessible porta potty at Tuckamargan Park. I did call to a few different people. I'm not entirely sure what the actual process is for getting quotes and all of that stuff. So anyway, I'll do the work if anyone can just tell me what I need to do. But
Yeah, Bill can help you with that. I
okay,
think Bill's gonna be here. He's been on vacation. I don't know if he'll be here or not.
his email said he'd be back tomorrow. So
I know they had some problems with porta potties there. in the
Yeah.
past.
So my hope is that once the garden's there, more people will be there. And I mean, I would like a handicap accessible one, to be accessible, and also it's harder to tip over. So,
Oh, Jess, so you're looking for a permanent
yeah, yes.
one there?
Yeah, I don't recall which one, if it was a non-ADA accessible one that was there previously that was removed due to vandalism. So
There's one on Stengel Road. Who is that? Someone?
that's the FCP.
That's FCP. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Stengel Road's a little more out in the open than what
It
Tuckamargan
is, yes.
is. And I mean, if you walk that trail often, you find things that should not be mentioned on those trails. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just don't know that it's, I mean, I understand where your concerns are for it. I just don't know that it's a wise choice
Okay.
to put there. That's just me.
Yeah, I just think if we're having a garden there, people are gonna have to use the bathroom and
You
it's
know,
not,
you put it like right at the entrance.
yeah,
So it can be seen.
yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if they have them with auto locking or anything. I have no idea. But the ones like on Stengel are also locked when there's no events going on.
Oh, okay, okay.
Is there funding for that? Is that just coming out of the general budget?
I emailed Bill, but he's on vacation, so I will look into that.
The only thing I have, and I'll be bringing it up, my mayor comments, is I received email from Beth McManus based upon a previous discussion with her and the planning board chair regarding changes to the DB district zone, basically extending it a few parcels northward. Changes that would change a few properties from professional office to downtown business. The east side of Main Street, it would extend through the T-Berry's property with Pennsylvania Avenue on the northern boundary on that side of the street. And on the west side, it would extend northward inclusive to and inclusive of the Huntington Dermatology Office. Hopefully we'll have it introduced at the next meeting. Basically, those businesses there are pretty much functioning as DB zone anyways. And it just is a matter of just cleaning up some stuff. I know that the master plan that they're working on now will be looking at removing and changing the PO areas, professional office areas, zoned areas of the borough to other zoning, mostly because the professional office zoning classification is very outmoded, and the professional offices, the need for that is changing, and that's a global change, not just Flemington, that's everywhere. So that's going to be one of the things they're looking at. So this kind of gets a little bit of a jump start on there, which will help out some of the businesses there and some of their plans for expansion with the active retail that they'd like to see happen up that way. So that kind of fixes that up a little bit. And that's the only thing I have actually that is out there, and I'll repeat that during the regular meeting.
You might want to keep in mind when you're doing that, I think a boundary change of a district requires the 200-foot notices to be sent out to everybody that's affected. So just leave time in the adoption
Yeah.
process for that.
Yeah, that's a Tara thing. She'll have to, Tara and Mike will.
Mike's gonna be the one licking and stuff.
I find them delicious.
It's required. based on
It's
short-
required.
So if nobody else, does anyone else have anything else?
I
Oh,
wanted to
sorry.
share just one thing. Sorry. I just wanted to let everyone, council and mayor know that I had a good conversation with a representative of the Episcopal Church, Morel White, about doing hopefully some more community outreach and information, getting out to those neighbors who have concerns. So I have not heard back from her yet. We had a conversation last week. She was gonna be waiting for a meeting with Family Promise and some legal counsel, but she is wanting to get back on that, bandwagon of maybe like a meeting or some letters and more information going out to kind of help calm some people's concerns. But again, I don't have the final analysis yet. I hope to touch base with her again this week now that she's had that meeting. So just to keep everyone aware.
Okay, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Sure thing.
If you could bring that up during the regular meeting, it would be helpful too, so it goes on that record.
Sure.
Betsy, what is Derek's last name?
Yeah, that's an offline conversation, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't talk about our families at council meetings.
No, I wanted to bring him up. He did the kiosk. He painted it. I wanted to give him a shout out and did a good job.
Yeah, thanks.
So I just wanted to quickly let council know that Councilman Park and myself are working on really, getting a civic engagement happening more in our town. And, we're working on a presentation, hopefully have some sort of, engaging Flemington event. And we're looking at possibly early September here. But I just want to give everybody a heads up that, this is a project that we're moving ahead with, so you should hear a lot more about it. And that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Anything else? Let's go ahead and adjourn to 7:30, then we'll see you in a few minutes. Good evening, everybody. Today is July 25th, 2022. This is the regular meeting of the Mayor and Common Council of the Borough of Flemington. This meeting is being held in conformance with the OPMA. We did have a work session earlier. There was nothing of other than some informal council discussion, and nothing of any significance that is going to be acted on this evening was discussed. Sally, if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America.
and to the republic for which it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll.
Mayor Driver,
Here.
Ms. Hand,
Here.
Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Long,
Here.
Mr. Parker,
Here.
Ms. Rosetti,
Here.
Ms. Tilly.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. So as you can see, I am remote this evening. I've had a possible COVID exposure. So rather than risking, and I tested negative today, but rather than risking anybody else around me in that small meeting room, I chose to be remote this evening. I do want to wish Sally well as we get underway. It is her last meeting as Borough Clerk. She's retiring as of August 1st. To spend more time with her family and those beautiful grandchildren of hers. So I know she's excited about that. And Michael Umphrey, Borough Clerk / Administrator, will be fully as clerk as of August 2nd. And that's it on that one. Next meeting, we should, I hope, have a resolution to add an additional street light on William Street. That's been requested by some residents there. And I've asked Mr. Umphrey to send letters to notify those residents. If they've gone out, we'll have it. And if they can get out before, if they haven't gone out, hopefully they will before the next meeting so people can come and add that in. It's and JCP&L will be adding it. It's down towards the end there of William Street where it's rather dark and people walking their dogs would like more light. RDA negotiations are underway with Captiva Redevelopment for the project on the Global Ag property. That property did receive planning board approval on July 12th. Across the street, planner Beth McManus is working with the potential redeveloper of the Nilkanth property to amend the site redevelopment plan for that site. It needs to be amended because when Captiva came along with two different owners, they did a split off and amended for that section, and so the southern section needs to be amended to accommodate that. One of the things that's going to be coming up soon is some changes to the DB district zone. The planner and the chair of the planning board and I have met to extend the DB zone a few parcels northward. Changes to these properties from professional office to downtown business. The east side of Main Street will extend the DB zone through the T-Berry's property with Pennsylvania Avenue on the northern boundary on that side of the street. On the west side, it will extend northward, inclusive of Hunterdon Dermatology Office. It might be on August 8th, but it depends upon getting the notifications go out. And getting the 200-foot list to send those out. So if it's not on August 8th, it'll be on afterwards for the first reading on that. Those properties are effectively already functioning as DB zone properties. And we had a request to do that based upon council earlier this year amending the parking minimums for the DB zone. And so that will accommodate some future growth in that area to be in line with the DB zone. And that's all I have this evening. If we could go next to Council Vice President Jessica Hand.
Thank you, Mayor. So Habitat for Humanity is putting up the fence for the community garden Wednesday, August 24th and Thursday, August 25th. I'm very excited that this is finally happening. I cannot thank Habitat for Humanity enough for this. Habitat for Humanity did secure fencing materials, but we will be looking for other donations. And I will get some information out by the end of the week on that. And I'm looking into seeing if we can get a ADA accessible porta potty at Tuckermurkin Park. And I wanted to wish Sally congratulations and good luck on your retirement, and we will miss you. Thank you.
Next up will be Councilmember Malik Johnston.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Small report this evening. So for the shade tree, there's no meeting in the month of August. We resume September 14th. The meetings are virtual and until December, and then we'll vote again. There are some trees that are due to be planted. Looks like in September, it's at least 3 trees. We have at least 3 requests from 3 homeowners. There's an annual report of division for the Division of Forestry. We're updating that because it's required for all shade tree committees, excuse me. The Flemington Museum, the yoga classes are going great. Tuesdays at 6:30. Ava is the instructor. Again, I invite everybody to come on out. She's great, and we have accessibility for every range of mobility. I'd also like to thank Derek Bowalski. He volunteered to paint the kiosk and did a great job. So he wasn't paid. September 2nd, no, I'm sorry, September 10th on a Saturday, 1 to 4 will be the Apples and Spice tour at the museum. There'll be refreshments. From the July 9th ice cream social, we had about 50 people, which is less than we normally get because of the weather that day. ShopRite donated over $200 in supplies and materials, so we want to thank them for that. Kelly took what was left over, which was about 10 gallons, over to Herman and Knapp Senior House, and they enjoyed that. And libraries, Sean is on vacation, so we just wish him well. That's all.
Excellent, thank you. Next up is Council President Jeremy Long.
Hi, good evening, everybody. In police news, an arrest has been made in the burglary theft at Dolce, which occurred on January 28th, 2022. The actors entered the restaurant through a window and removed cash and checks from the register, totaling $5,000. After a long investigation, a warrant was issued for the main actor, who was arrested on the warrant and is in the state of Delaware awaiting extradition back to New Jersey. So thanks, Flemington's finest. Got a couple of you here today. FCP news, I got a bunch of stuff. They're getting ready for the Corn and Tomato Beer Festival. That's on August 13th. They need more vendors, a few more vendors, and many more volunteers. Volunteers will get t-shirts and a beer if they're of age, and lots of love. Anyone out there who is interested, please reach out to us at communications@flemingtoncp.com. We have more free and small fee workshops, including tap, printmaking, and yoga. We have many weekly events to get people walking around town, including ghost tours on Friday and dog walks on Wednesdays. For new business, we look forward to the new farmers market coming to the former Crease Jewelry Space and Axiom, and a new gym and Altus, a medical marijuana facility, all opening late summer in the shops at Flemington. As per the MPP grant we received, we have 2 grants that are just starting to accept applications for. One, a commercial storefront grant that we already have applications for that will help 14 businesses improve their storefronts. And 2, a residential grant for up to 15 homeowners for a $1,000 grant for materials. And this is for facade improvements, and it will be ready to launch next week with a simple application. This year, the FCP will accept applications from homeowners on the following streets: Main Street from Route 12 to Maple and Mine, all of Fulper, Brown and Grant, and Central Station. Other blocks in the south end will have a chance to apply in February of next year. And last, the Flemington Borough has been named a contender in Jersey's Best Magazine's Top 5 Best Destinations in New Jersey, and this is in 2023, okay? So, and we're in some good company with Lambertville, Montclair, Morristown, and Sparta. As far as civic engagement, Tony Park and I are working on a presentation and a possible event. I'd like to thank Michael Umphrey for his suggestions around what this engaging Flemington event will be about. So I would like everyone to stay tuned. We'll have more information about this forthcoming. On July 14th, I attended a stormwater and flooding town hall presented by the Montgomery Township Landmarks and Preservation Commission. Michael Pissarro from the Watershed Institute of Hopewell presented. It was a very eye-opening experience, and I can report that there's an effort now to create a multi-county conference because, as I learned, stormwater affects an entire region, and there's a lot of connectivity there. And if municipalities work together, we can be prepared for these more extreme weather events such as Ida that we've been seeing more and more of. And finally, all the best to you, Sally. Thanks for everything. You'll be missed. That's my report.
And next up is Councilmember Tony Parker.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I don't have a lot. I will say that meeting with Jeremy, we are really rolling up our shirt sleeves and digging into this community involvement, which is something I'm really huge on. I don't think that you can move forward without community involvement. So we are gonna get a lot of people involved in this, even on the planning side of it. I'll be meeting with Mike at PWD over the next week and spend a day with him touring the borough and getting a little bit more information on what's needed and what we're doing and all the accolades and things like that. And then I'm also going to be meeting with Chris Fallon at Hunterdon Chamber of Commerce. So hopefully next meeting I'll have a lot more to talk about.
Excellent, thank you.
I've only known you for a very short period of time, but I feel like I've known you for years. You're like that walking down the beach in September or October, and you just need a gentle sweater on to make you warm. That's what
Excellent, thank you, Tony, and it's nice to see you again. Next up is Elizabeth Rossetti, Councilmember Elizabeth Rossetti.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to wish Sally all the best with her retirement. We'll miss you dearly. I've enjoyed the only few months, but it's been great working with you. I also had a good talk with Mr. Michael Humphreys, and I look forward to working with him. So I want to give him an official welcome. And then the only other item I have for today, after last meeting, hearing some discussion with the residents that they brought up regarding the transitional housing with Calvary Episcopal, I did reach out to Miss Morel White, a contact I had previously spoken to, and she was supposed to be meeting with Family Promise and their legal counsel late last week. I haven't been able to circle back with her just yet, but we are both hopeful that they'll be able to get more information out to residents soon that can hopefully ease some of those concerns to the neighbors regarding that project moving forward. And that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And finally, Councilmember Kimberly Tilley.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. On the 12th, we had a DPW meeting for catch basins throughout the borough that we worked. We talked about DUIAF projects, repairs on the street, some lateral inspections. On the 20th, I had an HPC meeting. I'm glad to announce that the Historic House Tour is coming back to Flemington in 2023 on Saturday, June 3rd. The HPC is looking for volunteers to help with sponsorship, recruiting volunteers, marketing, and financial budgeting. They currently have 2 homes and 2 buildings on their list. If you would like to have your home participate as part of the tour, please contact hpc@historicflemington.com. The HPC is still looking for an alternate. If you're looking for a way to serve your community, please consider serving on the HPC. We only meet one meeting a month, and it's probably about an hour and a half at the latest. If you're interested, please email that same email. It's hpc@historicflemington.com. Also on the 20th, the fire department met with Pierce to discuss the possibility of purchasing a Pierce fire truck. And I'm extending the water drive for the fire department through the end of August. Again, I will match like the first 50 cases that get donated. Tomorrow night is the final night of our Citizens Police Academy. I look forward to that, and I'll give it its proper due when it's over, a recap for that. And I'm not going to discuss Sally now because I'll do it later. I don't want to cry on council. So that's it for me.
Okay, that brings us to our first public comment session. If you are online, you can click on the raise hand icon. It's either at the bottom or top of your screen and you'll be called. Otherwise, if you're in person, you can step up to the microphone. Please identify your name and where you're coming from.
Good evening, Marcia Caro, 61 Elwood Avenue. Just a couple of things. To the councilwoman, you discussed getting a porta john for the community.
Yes.
Garden. My personal feeling is this is for 1 square mile community. Anybody who's going to be using it is going to live in this town, and they can go home and use their own bathroom, and we shouldn't be using taxpayer funding for that. It's my personal opinion.
No, that's a good point.
Second of all, regarding the resolution that you all put on the agenda tonight, regarding holding fossil fuel companies accountable. You know, if this ever goes anywhere, fossil fuel companies are going to be passing this on to the consumer. It's not going to come out of stockholders' pockets. Jet fuel, airplanes, costs are all going to go up. Cars are all going to go up in price with gas. Gasoline's going to go up. Everything's going up. And I just want to let you all know, Exxon is the county's either second or third largest employer or first largest employer and second or third largest taxpayer in this county, and it's been here for 37 or 38 years. And finally, I do have a question. And I don't mean any of this personally to you, Mr. Umphrey, and again, I welcome you back, and I'm glad that Ms. St. Angelo has amended your resolution regarding your term of employment. But among the 5 statutory requirements and jobs of a clerk, the clerk is the chief administrative officer of all elections. The chief administrative officer of elections, Sally knows, the certified clerk, certifies elections, certifies petitions, it allows candidates to cure defects on petitions, not get more signatures, but cure defects, is responsible for the voter registration forms to get over to the county clerk, certifies petitions to make sure that people live here, et cetera, et cetera. They have a lot of statutory authority under both Title 40A as well as Title 19, the elections certification. I am not aware of another clerk in this county who holds a partisan county committee seat, a municipal clerk, because of that. The county clerk does not have those statutory responsibilities to certify elections or anything else. It's all the Board of Elections, which is a partisan body, but by definition, by state statute, but not the clerk. But the municipal clerk, in my personal opinion, as well as apparently every clerk in this county, does not think that it should be held in a partisan way. And I am asking you if you were going to willingly step down out of your Democrat County Committee seat when you become clerk on August 1st. Thank you. Thank you.
Lois Stewart, resident of the Borough of Flemington. I wanted to ask, what is 1 cent on my tax rate equal to for the collected? So if we collect, or if we owe 100,000, how many cents is that on my tax rate?
I just said I wish Bill was here. He would be, today is Bill Hans's last day of vacation. He would be able to answer your question very easily, off the top of his head, I'm sure.
No one knows. If you spend X number of dollars, it's going to increase the taxes 1 cent. I can't believe it.
Well, I'm not an.
So 40, Lois, $40,000 in the budget is equal to 1 cent.
40,000,
Yes.
thank you.
So I was looking there, I have a pile of paper over there with that, but yeah, it's 40,000 is how it's been explained to me by Bill in the past. Lois, since you're there and since you asked the question at the last meeting, I just want to let you know, by the way, that the 200 Main Street pays municipal taxes. Where is that note? Hang on, give me just one moment here. I thought I had it written down, but I apparently only thought about writing it. The municipal tax is $11,515.88. The library tax on that property is $344.10.
What was the municipal tax again?
$11,515.88
For the whole year?
for the municipal taxes, yes. The overall taxes, including the school tax, is $34,559.11.
Thank you. Because if we don't collect the school taxes, then the other people have to pick it up, right?
Well, we have more development coming into town. It will make up for that difference. Anyone else who would like to make a comment?
There will be a hearing on the second reading, right?
For the bond, yes.
I mean, for the ordinance.
To buy it, it's tonight.
Tonight.
Beg your pardon?
It's this evening.
Hearing tonight on
Tonight.
buying the property,
Thank
the
you.
ordinance to finance it is not on this.
No, no, thank you.
Any other comments? If you're online, you can click on the raise hand icon. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the July 11, 2022 regular council meeting.
Tilly will move.
Long second.
Ms. Hand,
Abstain.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda. I'd like to remove one thing because it needs a minor change. It's resolution 2022-168. So if we could pull that one and then have a motion to approve the other two.
Tilly will move to pull resolution 2022.
Long
You
second.
don't have to make a
we
motion
don't?
to do that.
Yeah, just to discuss it.
It's
This
just
cycle.
not on it anymore.
Tilly will move to approve the consent agenda.
And we'll start.
All right, Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, the consent agenda is approved, excluding resolution 168.
Okay, if we could have a motion to approve 22-168, authorizing the installation of a temporary crosswalk on Stengel Avenue.
Yeah.
Johnson will second.
So there's a typo. It's not Stengel Avenue. It needs to be changed to Stengel Road. I don't think that's anything but minor.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. And basically what this is the police have been working with Go Hunterdon in the pedestrian safety work that they do around the borough pretty much every year. And so they want to just chalk in some temporary crosswalks and put some signs out. This will also help inform the ongoing traffic study that's been done in that area as well. We have a motion.
I thought Malik.
We've
Yeah.
moved already. Are there any other comments? Sally, go ahead and call the vote.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
And that brings us to our regular agenda. We do have a public hearing for the HPC Commission ordinance. However, we did receive information from the planning board with some changes they would like to make. So Kim, do you want to discuss this before we move it or not move it or
No,
table
we're
it?
just, the HPC has decided to table this at this time.
Could we have a motion to table? And we'll have to reintroduce this, by the way.
Till you move.
On second.
We'll see.
Okay, Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, that ordinance has been tabled.
Excellent. Next up is public hearing, second reading, ordinance 2022-10, ordinance authorizing the purchase of property designated as block 42, lot 9, also known as 200 Main Street. If we could have a motion to open the public hearing.
Till you move.
On second.
All in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Say no. Okay, the public hearing is open at 7:56 PM.
If you have a comment you'd like to make, you can step up to the microphone. If you're online, same thing, you can click on the raise hand icon.
Lois Stewart, resident of Flemington Borough. First of all, I want to tell you guys, I'm very happy with my police department. This does not reflect in any way on your performance.
You need to talk to the board.
I know, but I want to talk to them first. Okay. That being said, I do have concerns about the purchase of this property by the borough. First of all, I would like to know what happened to the plan to use the gift that we're getting at Liberty Village for the police department when that was first announced that we were going to become the recipient of the Polo building. It was said that it was going to be the borough hall and the police station. And then all of a sudden we're buying a different property for the police station. I went over and looked at that. That Polo building is really big. And I do not understand why that building cannot be retrofitted to hold borough offices and the police department. So I understand that we're paying $1 a year to Mr. Cust for use of that property there. And so I think that we could stay there a little bit longer. And it seems like it's a much better deal than spending millions for the same service. And that the existing problems in that building would be a mere pit to repair those would be a mere pittance compared with the cost of the purchase and retrofitting. Some people are saying that the retrofitting is going to cost more than $2 million. It's going to be a big amount of money to meet the state requirements now that you have to have in place to have a really big police station. So I have concerns about the expenditure of the money for this property when we have another alternative. This is a small community, less than 5,000 people. I don't know how many taxpayers we have, but it's nowhere near 5,000, obviously. And I appreciate the effort that you guys made to keep our tax rate where it is this year. I just got my tax bill. And so I appreciate that, but that's not going to stay. You know that everything goes up. There's something you were saying, everything goes up and up. So we need to be fiscally responsible. And then I see on this paper that we're going to be taking from our capital improvement fund, almost 74,000. So we'll need to be replacing that. So it just seems that it's not fiscally responsible. Then the loss of not only the taxes from this property at 200 Main, but taxes for the Polo building that's of course incorporated into Liberty Village. But when the taxes are calculated for the new property over there, the loss of that section of the property will certainly be taken into account. So we will be getting less property taxes because those two properties will be off the tax rolls. Then another thing that I have concern about is it's not a central location. We're moving further away from what I've been told is a hotspot for police service. The hotspot supposedly is the north end of town. So instead of having the police station closer to where the majority of the activity might be, we're moving it further the other way. So I have concern about the location of the proposed police station. And then I guess my biggest concern is many residents, not just me, but there are a lot, I've talked to a few of them in the past 2 weeks, support a merger of our police department with the township police department. There would be no loss of positions, but it would save both communities money. So why is this possibility not been explored? If we buy this property and spend a lot of money retrofitting, that's like shooting yourself in the foot, because we would save money by merging these two departments. So why spend millions on a new location when a better solution is a merger? So it seems to me it's not fiscally responsible decision to purchase 200 Main Street for the borough use. Everybody says, not me, but a lot of people said, not everybody, a lot of people say there's going to be this big boom in Flemington when we get this courthouse square project done. And then I'm sure there's going to be a lot of private entrepreneurs who will want to locate in Flemington. I think it would be much better to have that property owned privately and pay taxes. And we go to Liberty Village and merge. So I'm asking that we not purchase 200 Main Street. I love you all, but I don't want to spend that much.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
I'm Robert Shore, 47 Broad Street. Thank you, Lois. The voice of reason. She couldn't be more on point. Seriously, I have anxiety hearing this. 200 Main Street, it's prime property in this town. When they come off the asphalt for Borough Hall, where we have one that's already being offered to us. So I encourage each one of you to vote no against this purchase. I mean, my heart is like pounding. I can't even think that we're going to do this. It's reminiscent of Mary Melfi when she sat out there. She had the harebrained idea to buy 100 Main Street for the same reason. We paid, I think, 2.7 million for it. We sold it to Cuss for $1 million. That's concerning. This, I run a business that's as big as a borough, if not bigger. This kind of purchase is huge for a business like that. That's why I get anxiety over it. Really caution you guys not to do this. This is a great mistake. This is another Mary Bell haircut idea.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? In person or online?
Can I ask a question, Mayor? On this sheet you handed
No,
out?
it's a public hearing. It's not a Q&A.
Well, I don't understand ARP. Could you just tell me what that is?
American Recovery Fund money, COVID money.
That came from the federal government?
Yes. Seeing no other questions, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Tilly will move.
Long second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Okay, public hearing is closed at 8:05 PM.
If we could have a motion to adopt on second reading ordinance 2022-10, ordinance authorizing the purchase of property designated as block 42, lot 9, also known as 200 Main Street.
Tilly will move.
Long second.
So any council discussion? Hearing none, Sally, if you'd call the vote.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, that's adopted.
And the bond ordinance public hearing will be at the next meeting on August 8th. That was introduced 2 weeks ago. Publishing deadlines pushed it out to the 8th. Thank you. Next up is also a public hearing.
Mayor, at your earliest convenience, can you stop by Borough Hall to sign the agreement? So I can
Yes,
send it over to the seller, so then the police department, if they need to get in the building to start looking, looking around, doing their due diligence,
Sure.
they get.
Sure.
keys.
so I spoke with the owner last week and he's ready to meet us out there whenever we are. So we'll make that happen, or Mr. Umphrey will make that happen and set up that time.
I think if the officers could go there right now to start looking around.
Next up is this also a second reading public hearing, ordinance 2022-11, an ordinance authorizing the consumption of alcoholic beverages in certain areas of the borough of Flemington. If we could have a motion to open the public hearing.
Tilly will move.
Long second.
All in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. The public hearing is open at 8:07 PM.
Gotcha. So anybody in person who would like to make a comment?
You can just step up to the microphone. Say your name and address.
Bob, this is all.
It'll pick you up.
Bob King, Lone Eagle Brewing, 24 Stangle Road. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for introducing this ordinance. I think this is a positive step in bringing fun back to Flemington. Secondly, we just celebrated 6 years anniversary this past weekend. In our 6 years in business, to my knowledge, I don't recall any major incidents occurring on Stangle due to having a craft brewery there. As a craft brewery, we promote responsible drinking. We don't promote or condone people getting drunk, chugging beers or acting disorderly. We do everything to prevent that. That's part of our responsibility. Everybody that serves beer in our brewery has tips training so they can tell when people have consumed too much and we take the responsible steps. Finally, I think one of the most important things we can do as a community is communicate and educate to people that are going to engage in this kind of consumption on a public way. I think communicating, educating what are the boundaries, what are the do's and don'ts, what are the guidelines of this ordinance are extremely important. And I will offer my services to work with you as a council or a select committee that you may choose to help put that education and communication in place so people understand what they should or should not do. And I'd be happy to help out in any way I possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments in person?
I'm a Stewart resident of Flemington Borough. I just have concern about the length of hours, and I have concern about, can people bring their beverages from home and sit there, or do they have to buy it from the businesses that are on Stangle Road that provide that service?
Well, ideally, we'd like them to buy from there, but there is nothing to stop somebody bringing from home. However, I'm quite certain the police will be diligently enforcing any public drunkenness that may happen. I have spoken, our ordinance is modeled on Westfield, and I did reach out to the mayor of Westfield. They have had zero problems with it in their town.
But so somebody could stop at Central Liquors and buy a bottle of wine and bring their two plastic cups and sit there and drink wine on Stangle Road and not patronize the businesses that we have there. Is that correct?
In theory,
And how
I really don't see it happening based upon my discussions with Westfield.
Well, this is not Westfield, so how would we police that?
The police are responsible for enforcing the laws in this town, Lois.
Yes, but if there is no restriction, then they can't enforce something that doesn't exist. So I have concern about that, and then I have concern about having it 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, on Saturday and Sunday. Doesn't it start 10 o'clock? What are the hours?
We changed it after
On
the last
Friday,
meeting.
they changed it on Friday and put it from 4 to
Fridays,
11.
it's 4 to 11, Saturdays are 1 to 11, and Sundays are 1 to 8.
I just can't imagine that people can't live without sitting on Stangle Road and swilling down their alcoholic beverage. They want to go to the brewery or to the Bluefish. That's.
Are there any other comments in person? Sally, we do have somebody, or Michael, I'm sorry, Mr. Shore, I didn't see you stepping up.
I think this is a great idea. Robert Short, 47 Forestry. Flemington still is in its infancy of revitalizing, and having something like this would be really good for the community. And I hope that it's successful and we can possibly do it in other areas of the town. Fully support.
Sally, there are two hands up online. Amy Menez, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, from Prevention Resources, had her hand up first, if you could bring her in.
You just get allowed to talk? Or-
Yeah, you have to click on their name. I know I usually do that. The other option is to make me a co-host and I can bring her in.
No, I'm asking if I want to allow her to talk or promote her to a panelist.
Hello,
No, good. Okay, there we go.
can you hear me?
Thank you.
Hi,
Hi, Amy, how do you say your last name?
it's Minez.
Menez, okay, so I was kind of right.
You're close. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you guys taking the time tonight. So I am a Hunterdon County resident. I worked and lived here my whole life. I work in Flemington with Prevention Resources. And I did want to comment on the alcohol ordinance, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. But I do want to say that, I heard a little bit alarming things. So Lone Eagle, we love a Lone Eagle. I've been there so many times. It's a wonderful place. But to educate the public on the do's and the don'ts is we don't want people drinking in public. The studies have shown it increases drunk driving and alcohol related deaths. We have abandoned buildings on Stengel. This is a great place for kids to hang out and get into trouble when our police already can't search them. That was part of the laws that were signed just a couple years ago. So we already have barriers for what's going on here. And Lois made a really great point that anyone can bring alcohol and drink on that road out in the open. We're also in a mental health crisis. There are just not enough services. So we have a recovery community who's struggling, mental health, everyone's struggling with mental health right now. It takes like 6 months to just get an intake with some of these people, and it could cost $2,000. We don't have the services to support an increase in access to alcohol. And I just really hope you consider this. I don't think it's necessary or needed. Mayor Driver, I know you had mentioned that you said that this was a benefit of public health. This is not a benefit of public health when we have kids who have access to alcohol and more kids that are drinking and using drugs than before, and without the services to support them. So I do hope you consider that, and I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So we also have Robin Lapidus with her hand up. Thank you.
Am I unmuted? Oh, and I'm on camera. How'd that happen? I wasn't prepared for any of this. But good evening. I'm Robin Lapidus. I'm the executive director of the Flemington Community Partnership. And this is my dog, Viv, who won't bark one more time. Anyway, I just wanted to, we did do some polling of the businesses on Stengel about their enthusiasm for this ordinance as an opportunity for proper adult beverage enjoyment by an adult population in a well-monitored and policed environment. And there were some requests for more receptacles for trash. However, almost all of the businesses on Stengel Road and the surrounding area, and also several businesses on Main Street who felt that a positive impact on Stengel was a positive impact for all of Flemington, feel that this is really a very an opportunity to have well-monitored opportunities for adult beverage enjoyment, which is something that all of the surrounding communities in Hunterdon County and in other counties have been allowed to enjoy. And it is an economic development benefit that at every time we engage the public to say what they want, they say they want active, fun streets and more liquor licenses. So without having more liquor licenses, but having the opportunity to share the wealth of the craft brewery that hasn't caused any incidents, and the new craft distillery that's joining us across the street, from an economic development perspective, from active streets, all of the businesses we spoke to were in favor of this, and we thank you for bringing it forward. And I'm sure that we will all work together to ensure that this isn't encouraging young people to drink in our public areas. Thank you. You can
Thank
make it go away now, please.
Hi, Marcia Caro. I have a dog in this fight. I'm actually kind of excited about all the extra ticket revenue that the police are going to generate from this for my taxes. But I do have a question, since Ms. Lappin has said that they've solicited all the businesses to respond about how they feel about this. I just want to know if anybody asked the police department how they feel about it, and if there's a report on what they think, if this is a good idea or a bad idea. If the police asked, since the businesses are asked, the police asked.
Yeah, I had conversations with the chief about it. Thank you.
You had
And
conversations with the
It's
chief about it?
Betsy, and no, he wasn't concerned about it.
The chief's not concerned about it. I mean, I know the chief will enforce all laws of the town, but I would like to see in writing something from the police department about how they're gonna patrol it and that they really are not concerned.
You want me to respond?
No, you can make a public comment like anyone else, Jerry. Chief. You have to step up to the microphone.
Well, like the mayor said, we spoke to other towns, they've had this going on for a while. We're gonna enforce it like we enforce everything. The officers are gonna be out there, they're gonna address the issues that need to be addressed. The only changes that people will be allowed.
Hey, Jerry, I need you to address police council.
The only changes they'd be able to do is walk and carry that beverage in that certain area, not go beyond that certain area. That's what we're gonna be looking for, you know? And I'm sure if we see a drastic increase of one activity over another, we'll readdress it at what appropriate level.
And I don't think we didn't get your name and address, sorry. We didn't hear your comment.
I'm Chief Rotella right now, currently 100.
Are there any other comments from the public? If we could have a motion to close the public hearing?
Tilly will move.
Handle second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. Okay, the public hearing is closed at 8:20 PM.
We could have a motion to adopt on second reading ordinance 2022-11, an ordinance authorizing the consumption of alcoholic beverages in certain areas of the borough of Flemington.
Tilly will move.
Almost second.
Is there any council discussion? Hearing none, Sally, go ahead and call the vote.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, that's adopted.
Excellent. And Sally or Tara, when will that take effect?
When will it be published?
Will be published in Thursday's paper. But there's no estoppel, right? Not for
No.
this, so.
So it'll take effect technically Friday then.
Yeah,
since it's
well, I would think it'd be
published Thursday.
this weekend, assuming that the mail to, that the email notice to the papers goes through.
Thank you. Next up is resolution 2022-169, authorizing a shared service agreement with Frenchtown Borough regarding street sweeping.
Tilly will move.
Handle second.
Any council discussion?
Could you explain what this agreement entails?
Sure, so let me pull up the prices on it. So we've done this, don't know if we did it last year with Frenchtown, but we did it 2 years ago. We've also done it with leaf pickup, where we have the equipment and our guys will take the street sweeper down. I think we did Lebanon Borough too before the 4th of July party. And they pay us to sweep their streets because they don't have a street sweeper like we do.
Yeah, the rate is
And
two
they-
an hour portal to portal.
Yes. Thank you.
And how long is the agreement for?
This particular one would only be good for this year. Resolutions only last through the end of the year. So if we wanted to do it again, it would have to be readopted next year. Sally, go ahead and call the vote.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, that's adopted.
Next up is resolution 2022-170, amending resolution 2022-143 and approving the appointment and hiring of Michael Umphrey as business administrator as of July 5th, 2022, and acting borough clerk as of August 1st, 2022.
Tilly will move.
Oh, sorry.
Any council discussion? So just very briefly, this came up, there was some language that wasn't clear, so this just clarifies the language. It was brought to our attention at the last council meeting. And although the clerk, the soon-to-be clerk and the borough attorney felt that the language was good, we did make an amendment, just amending this resolution just to make it a little bit more clear. Sally, go ahead and call the vote.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, that's adopted.
Next up is resolution 2022-171, resolution authorizing the execution of an easement. We could have a motion.
Tilly will move.
Almost second.
So this is basically an easement. Tara, can you explain it better since you worked on it? I mean, I could, but there's no money involved here.
Yeah, you're probably thinking an easement, we always do by ordinance because you're taking the property right. This particular easement, the borough is not signing on as a grantor or grantee. This is a gas line easement between Elizabethtown Gas and the Flemington Apartments to run a gas line to service the standpipe. And the borough is only signing on because we agreed to maintain the easement area, keep it free and clear of brush, and also to replace any pavement disturbed by the installation of gas line. And this is, I really have to say, Mike Campion helped this process along, because the process of getting this gas line easement was really stalled. And although the gas company would have the right to condemn that easement, that would have taken so much longer and would have put the standpipe project on hold. But Mike was really great about reaching out to Elizabethtown Gas, reaching out to the representatives of the apartments, getting everyone to come together. And I think the borough being signed on to maintain easement also gives the borough assurances that this easement will actually remain free and clear of any debris, and also gives the apartment complex a little more assurances that it's the borough coming out to maintain it rather than Elizabethtown Gas, because the easement really does benefit the borough because it serves our new standpipe. So this is this took I would say a lot longer than we expected, but it was, you know, a public utility and an LLC and the borough all getting together, so it took a little time, but in the end it came to a good result and everybody seems happy. The standpipe project moves one step closer to being finished.
Which apartment complex?
It is the Flemington Apartments. They are the apartment complex that borders on Raritan Township.
Prospect.
Yeah, it's Prospect Hills.
Sorry, they changed their name sort of in the middle of the process from Prospect Hills to Flemington Apartments LLC. So I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know if they're gonna be changing the name of the apartment complex, but.
Yeah.
That's
And this is a gas to run the generator in case of a power failure.
Generator for what?
the water standpipe,
The pumps.
yes. So again, if you see Mike Campion, this is another high five for Mike.
Yeah, this is just, like I said, it's to run the generator in case of a power failure so that the borough continues to have water.
I thought the water was gravity fed.
Yeah, but it has to get up into the standpipe. Hearing no other discussion, anyone else from council? Sally, go ahead and call the vote.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly?
Yes.
All right, that's adopted.
Excellent. Next up is Resolution 2022-172, authorizing the Borough of Flemington to charge credit card and online processing fees, authorizing an addendum to the service agreement with Municipal. We could have a motion.
Tilly will move.
And the second.
Mr. Umphrey, could you give us the Cliff Notes version as to what this is?
Sure, yeah, so the borough is making strides to move services online and allow people to pay for those services, a credit card, permits, licensing, things of that nature. Under ordinance, we charge a fee, we don't charge for credit card charges. Municipal that works with literally hundreds and hundreds of municipalities, they do have a processing charge. So it's 2.65% or $1.50, whichever is more. We would allow people to know that in advance of any form of purchase that they do, either here at the counter or online. And they can choose to, if they don't do that, they can still pay by cash or check. And last thing, we're not taking any of that money. This is all Municipal and it's their processing charge.
And the customer pays that, correct? Rather
Correct.
than the borough. Okay.
Correct.
Can I make a comment about that?
We should-
Any other council discussion?
We should also point out the minimum charge is $1.50. Mike negotiated that down.
So it's $1.50 for each.
Yeah, the minimum, it's $1.50 or 2
Oh, it's
points.
a minimum of $1. And how is that,
Based
how
on
does it
the-
go from $1.50 to $3 to?
Whatever's more than $1.50 or 2.65% of the total charge. But again,
Of the
it's-
total charge.
that's only for credit cards, debit cards, you still pay by check, cash, I guess money order, if anyone still does that.
So what is the benefit from a consumer standpoint for them to do that? Just out of
The
curiosity.
ease of not coming into Borough Hall to pay your pet fee,
Or
your license.
put a stamp on a letter.
Yeah. Well, I can only speak that our experience with this and during my employee during Lambertville, we saw across the board almost a 20% increase in the amount of activity from residents. And about, depending on which one you were, anywhere between 75 and 90% of these payments they chose online. They chose to do with credit cards. So it's a preferred method, and it's good that the borough is allowing for that kind of option for residents and business owners.
Options are good. I'm just questioning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is standard across the board for any of these companies that you use to process your credit cards, whether you use Municipal, Addendums.
Any other council discussion? Shelley, go ahead and call the vote.
Okay, Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, that's adopted.
Excellent. That wraps up our regular agenda, brings us to our second public comment session. If you're in person and would like to make a comment, you can step up to the microphone, up to 3 minutes each, maximum of 30 minutes. If you're online, you can click on the raise hand icon.
First comment is, Mr. Humphreys, did you
You need
ask,
to say your name again, sorry.
it's Robert Shore, with Wall Street. Did you inquire of Municipal whether they'll perhaps, give the first $50 or $100 of charges free to our residents?
I made that ask during my last employee, and the answer is no. They're a for-profit venture.
Right, I'm sure they are, but there's other credit card companies out there that might, I'd plan one against the other. You gotta be very Trump-esque about things in this town, because then you get results.
Well, here's the deal. SDL, which we're under contract with, their exclusive card processor is Municipal. We do not have a choice for using that. Also, the charges Municipal has is about as low as you get within the industry.
Well, 2.6 is still pretty high in my opinion. I would suggest that the town pick it up if the charge is less than $100, because it's a penalty, it's a convenience, and it's a benefit to the town. I think the town should get it. I don't think we residents should be, or business owners should be penalized. And I see it from the penalization perspective. As far as the water department goes, the old tank, what's happening with the old tank? Is that going to be refurbished and used?
It's gonna be rehabbed, yes.
Okay, when is that going to start and be completed by?
Might be done. It might be done. I'm not sure of the schedule because I was only involved because they were scheduling around those existing cell equipment up on that tank, so we had to schedule for shutdowns. They might be finished because they scraped, painted the outside at least. I don't know if they have to do the inside yet, but the project is either underway, finished. The project is definitely underway. It's either finished or very close to being
Oh, I
finished.
hope they do the inside. You know?
Oh, yeah, they have to do the
Oh, yeah.
inside. That was the whole point
No,
of
the
getting.
inside's getting done.
Process, but the outside is either done or close to being done because I think we're done with shut-offs for the cell facilities.
Okay, for 30 years, we've been drinking pond water out of that tank. And I'm sure there's a lot of living creatures in it. Also on that note, I've noticed a chlorine smell in the water, and I hope that's going to be abated soon. It's pretty strong sometimes. That's a big concern of mine. I've salted water, but I think we should have better quality treatment.
Are there any other comments in person?
So I didn't comment during,
Identify and
I'm sorry. I didn't comment during the hearings for 200 Main Street. But I was pretty stunned that none of the council had any conversation or discussion about voting for that. As Ms. Stewart said, everybody in town was led to believe that the police were going into the Ralph Lauren building. And about 3 weeks ago, there was a press release or something put out by the mayor that this property became available and that's where it was gonna go. I was at the last meeting when she discussed it publicly and there was really no comments by council. And then Ms. Stewart brought it up tonight again about what happened to the Loren property and why aren't we going there? And I really expected somebody to have a conversation about it. So, you know, as a citizen looking for transparency, the fact that there was no discussion about it 2 weeks ago, everybody was just notified publicly about it 3 weeks ago. You voted on it tonight without a discussion. I don't know how this happens when you all can't be talking about something, even if it's serial, because that's a serial, violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. So I'm a little concerned about the fact that you all just agreed to spend over $1 million without anybody other than the mayor saying one word about it. Having said that, congratulations, Mr. Umphrey. Thank you for you or Sally for getting my garbage picked up last week. I don't know who did it, but it was really fast. And Sally, I
Just give Sally all the thanks.
your voicemail is now on there, so I didn't know who actually got the message, but Sally, I just want to wish you all the best. Thank you. Congratulations, you've been wonderful to work with and a very kind person that I really enjoyed getting to know a little bit. Congratulations.
so I just want to address, the police department was never discussed going into the Polo building, so I'm not quite sure where that came from. I did have a very brief discussion with the redeveloper when he first approached the borough as it. There were two issues. A, he didn't want the police department there, and he's giving us the building, and so it became for a municipal borough hall. The second, there's not enough parking. The third issue is if we have events on Stengel Road, it basically essentially traps the police. So it's got 3 strikes against it. But it was never discussed. It was never put out there that the police department would be going into the Polo building. I'm not quite sure where that came from. And if it was discussed, it was ever just in passing very early on in the redevelopment process for Liberty Village.
That's a fair comment that it was never discussed, it was just rumor or, you know, he was putting it out there in tap or whatever, because I know I've seen it in writing at least once or twice, but apparently some things was also never discussed in public, so.
Is there anyone else in person who would like to make a comment?
Let's start from our resident. Sally, I don't know how I'm gonna live without you in this borough hall. I really don't. I've known you so long from the Democrat and now here. I've enjoyed your performance both places, just been outstanding.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna miss you. And I hope that you will let us know when you're coming to the borough so we can see you and say hello.
Maybe I'll stop in at some events now, huh?
Yes. And I just know that I wish you well, wherever your retirement takes you, I wish you well.
And we do have a commenter online, please. Okay, I think you promoted him to panelist. It should just be to talk, but that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, good evening. I'm glad to be here this evening. Mr. Humphreys, congratulations. Ms. Graziano, thank you very much for your years of service.
Could
I'm
you
not sure who's-
identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Michael Harris. I've been a councilman 2018 through 2020, council president in 2019. I'm going to direct my comments to Mayor Driver, and I'll remind council that they may also ask questions, though I'll likely need the 3 minutes, so I prefer not to yield time until the end. If anyone would like a response, I'll be happy to give it. So, Mayor Driver, with concern about past and current use of your Mayor Betsy Driver Flemington Borough Facebook account, which was created on January 25th, 2017, to make public statements and share information of public importance in your capacity as mayor of the Borough of Flemington, I'm contacting you now during this comment section regarding two concerns. You're blocking individuals from your account, me, depriving them of access to this public information, and excluding individuals when you have opened your social media for public comment. Both actions violate the First Amendment, 2019 U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit, and that's Davison versus Randall. And Randall, it was in her official and individual capacity, and Article 1, Paragraph 1 of the New Jersey Constitution. Very briefly, in the first instance, I cited you for misrepresenting a private citizen and lifelong Flemington resident who is now your mayoral rival. You acknowledged this and shrugged it off with a snarky response. In the second instance, I cited evidence in support of another local resident to whom you had misrepresented making repairs to roads as repaving. When you stated that roads could not be paved without also addressing water and sewer lines, I linked to a 2020 Tap Into article where repaving was to occur without addressing the infrastructure beneath. I opposed that then, and just as I opposed your statements to the local resident. So the ACLU of New Jersey is keeping a close eye on the implications for New Jerseyans' free speech, in particular when public officials use social media as government actors. The First Amendment prohibits them from censoring differing viewpoints. Having opened your Facebook account for public discussion, Mayor Driver, I was surprised to find that after engaging in online discussion with you, that I was blocked and my comments were removed. So this evening, what I'm seeking is both corrective action and more information. One, restore my access and public comments. And two, I'm requesting a copy of the social media policy or guidelines that were used to block me. Now, for the council, I just want to make aware, you can certainly block someone, remove if there's profanity used, threats that are used, or if something's off topic. Clearly, none of my statements were that. So, Ms. Driver, I want to thank you in advance for your prompt attention and resolution to this matter.
Thanks. It's a campaign page, so, and that is permitted.
Well,
And Attorney
actually,
Kemp.
I'm glad you said that. Once you engaged with me in that conversation, you can't remove me. And interestingly, you did not remove others who similarly had engaged with you. So, Mayor Driver, again, I'm asking for a correction and again, your policy. It's also very interesting for me, if this is a campaign page, then what page is your formal page?
I
Because
don't
you
have
can't
one.
have it both ways, Mayor Driver. We know that you had taken down your page in 2020 after a social media problem then. That was not a campaign page at that time. And I believe it to be the same page. So you do have things to answer to, but very simply, I'd like to be restored and I'd like to see the policy. Again, if there's anyone on the council who has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And of course, you have your legal counsel who is present who'd be happy to address that. I have the citations and of course, you can go back to the recording. Again, thank you very much for your time.
Are there any other comments?
Or I think you just need to get up.
Okay. I'd like to hear the mayor comment on it. Mayor Driver has also blocked me from her page. And I too would like to be restored as soon as possible. And I don't think it's wise for the actions of the mayor to expose us to lawsuits. That's exactly what she's doing with this kind of behavior. She should be beyond reproach. And Mrs. Angela, I would like you to opine on this policy tonight.
I am not going to give the mayor legal advice tonight. I don't know all the facts of the situation. I don't know what exactly page you're referring to, so I will address it with the mayor and, you know,
Well, I
determine if
think
any
as
action is necessary.
our attorney, you should have an opinion on this. I'm not asking you to advise or give counsel. I'm merely asking for your opinion. If you're worth your salt, then give us your
I
opinion.
cannot give you an opinion on the specifics of this circumstance, but,
You choose not to, you can. You are a lawyer.
but
Yeah.
I will address the situation
At the
and
next
look at the
meeting,
facts of the situation, and if it is warranted for a public discussion, it'll be discussed in public. If it is warranted for an executive session with council, that will be done, but I will get the facts of the situation and determine if any corrective action needs to be taken.
I'm asking you for the next meeting to come back and report to this town what the policy should be, from your opinion.
I
That's
am the-
my right as a resident to hear that.
Council wants me to go over the social media policy at the next meeting, I will.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Seeing none, do we have an attorney?
My comment is, why is it that I, Robert Shore, John QP, has to come up here and challenge our professionals? And not you that are on this council? Why is it that I have to do it? Are you not thinking? What Michael Harris put out there is a very important factor. And it's a concern. And nobody here can think openly or talk about it.
Is there an attorney's report?
Everything that I was working on was on the public agenda, but I would like to say that I'm going to miss Sally immensely. She is the perfect mix of pleasant and professional, which is a very, I think, a very hard mix to get in someone in her position. So the borough has been very lucky to have her for this many years. Thank you. And Mike has some very big shoes to fill.
But I think he thrives on being busy, right?
At least I get my.
But you've left the joint in good shape for him.
Do we have a motion to pay some bills?
Tilly will move.
Handle second.
All right, Ms. Hand,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
All right, bills will get paid.
Excellent. Is there any reason to go into executive session?
Not at this meeting.
Could we have a motion to adjourn?
We'll move.
Kendall second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All say no.
Sally, thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
Everyone. It's been a pleasure.
You rock, Sally.
Godspeed and happy trails.